If you had asked me 6 months ago whether one stupid moment could quietly destroy a marriage, I probably would have said no. Real marriages survive mistakes, right? That's what I used to believe. My name is Natalie, and for 11 years, my husband Ethan and I had built something stable. Not perfect, but steady. We had routines, inside jokes, lazy Sundays, and the kind of comfort that only grows after years together. Somewhere along the way, though, comfort slowly became distance. Ethan worked longer hours, stress followed him home, and conversations turned shorter. I told myself we were just busy. Marriage had seasons. But loneliness has a dangerous way of making small frustrations feel bigger than they are. Looking back now, I think the damage started long before the moment I actually crossed the line. It happened during an argument. Not explosive yelling, just one of those quiet, ugly fights built from months of frustration nobody properly talks about. Ethan had canceled another dinner plan because of work, and I snapped harder than I should have. He stayed frustratingly calm while I spiraled emotionally, listing every disappointment I had quietly stored away. Then, somewhere between anger and hurt, I said something I immediately wished I could take back. Maybe if you actually acted like a husband, I snapped bitterly, I wouldn't feel so alone in our own bedroom. The room went silent immediately. Ethan looked at me for a long second, long enough for regret to already begin forming in my chest. But I still wasn't done. That's the part one hates admitting. Hurt people sometimes chase damage when they feel unheard. I said something crueler. Something deliberately aimed to wound. Honestly, I muttered bitterly, sometimes I wonder what it would feel like to be wanted by someone who actually notices me. The second the words left my mouth, I wanted them back. Not because they weren't rooted in loneliness, but because I saw something in Ethan's face shift immediately. Not anger. Not defensiveness. Something quieter. Sadder. Like someone hearing a door quietly close inside a place they thought was safe. I expected yelling. Expected accusations. Maybe even him storming out. Instead, Ethan simply nodded once and quietly said, "Okay." That was it. One word. Controlled. Then he stood up, grabbed a pillow, and walked into the guest room without another sentence. I sat frozen on the edge of our bed, feeling strangely robbed of the argument I thought I wanted. Silence settled over the house in a way that immediately felt wrong. Heavy. Unnatural. Somehow, anger would have been easier to survive. The next morning felt worse. Ethan acted polite. Too polite. "Coffee?" he asked calmly while getting ready for work. No coldness. No visible resentment. Just distance. Emotional distance so clean and quiet it terrified me. He stopped touching me absent-mindedly. Stopped texting random jokes during the day. Stopped asking about little things. Somehow, our marriage still looked normal from the outside, but emotionally, something important had gone missing overnight. And every day after, the silence grew heavier. At first, I tried pretending things would naturally reset. People fight. Couples recover. But weeks passed, and Ethan stayed the same. Kind, respectful, emotionally absent. One night, I finally broke down. "Why won't you just yell at me?" I asked quietly through tears. He looked genuinely confused. "Why would I yell?" he asked softly. "That somehow hurt more." "Because I hurt you," I whispered. Ethan looked down briefly before answering. "You already know that," he said quietly. "I just don't know what to do with it yet." That sentence haunted me. I don't know what to do with it yet. Because suddenly, I realized silence wasn't indifference. It was grief. The kind that quietly builds when trust cracks somewhere emotional. I started noticing things I once took for granted. How he used to reach for my hand while watching TV, kiss my forehead absent-mindedly, ask if I got home safely. Those tiny pieces of affection had disappeared so quietly I almost missed them until absence made them impossible to ignore. One night, I finally apologized properly. Not defensive. Not rushed. Real honesty. "I crossed the line," I admitted quietly. "I wanted to hurt you because I felt hurt, and I hate that I did that." Ethan stayed quiet for a long moment. Then he sighed softly. "I know you were lonely," he said. "But hearing the person you love wonder out loud about someone else." He stopped talking halfway through. He didn't need to finish. I already understood. Things didn't magically improve after that conversation. Real damage rarely heals quickly. But slowly, honesty started replacing avoidance. Counseling happened. Hard conversations happened. We finally admitted how lonely both of us had quietly become long before that night. Some days felt hopeful. Other days felt fragile. Trust doesn't rebuild dramatically. It rebuilds quietly. Through repeated effort nobody applauds. I thought my husband would scream or leave after I crossed the line in our bedroom. Instead, he stayed. Respectful. Quiet. And somehow, that silence hurt more than anger ever could have. Because every quiet moment forced me to face something painful. Sometimes the deepest damage doesn't come from betrayal itself. It comes from watching someone you love slowly stop feeling emotionally safe beside you. I still don't know if we'll fully recover. But I know one thing now. Words spoken in anger don't disappear just because regret arrives later.